Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome back to Sarita Talks. It is once more that we are in the comfort of my beautiful bedroom because this is how it happens in prison. When you're in prison, you don't call people at their jobs, you try not to, and you hope that they have time so they can answer your phone call. You hope that that they have their phone nearby because you don't want to call back and sometimes, if you miss a phone call and you're on this side, you wonder if they think that you don't care. So I say all that to lead up to it's the Gone But Not Forgotten series. And once more on my phone here, we've got Terressa Cummings. Tell everybody hi, Terressa. That's right. That's right. So I don't go to a podcast studio because this is how it is. When I called my family, they were at home. And this is my family calling right now on the phone. This is my friend Terressa, and she is a good person, and she's also innocent of her crime. We recently had a sister come home, and we are grateful and thankful, but there are more. I see we got someone tuning in, so feel free to drop a note in the chat if you want to shout out to Terressa. Go ahead and post a comment, and we can address it in real time. I just want to thank the people, like I said, that are watching and supporting the show. But more importantly, let's support these people that don't have a voice. Terressa, you came on before and you told us your story. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your age, when you went to prison, anything you want to let us know, you let us know.
Hello, everybody. I'm 60 years old. I've been in prison for 25 years. Now, I was at the scene of a crime, and I got convicted of first-degree murder. The guy that actually killed her, Melissa Bovial was her name, he got 20 years with 15 running concurrent when she's already out. I took the police to the,
I said, that's terrible. But let me tell you, your daughter's on here. Hey, y'all. Hi, Mom. I love you. That's what she said. Listen, and before we even start, we're going to get back to this man that's already free, and you tried everything you could to bring closure to this case. But I just want to tell you, this is a damn fine mom, too. This is a good mom, and there's good moms in prison because, as you know, I talk about my son all the time. That didn't just start because I got released. Terressa told us all the time, about how, people support us and they care about us, but they just don't know how to help. So you were trying to help solve a crime that would have went unsolved. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Where she was found at, or where she was killed at, she would have went unnoticed for years, if not forever. And, I feel like I did the right thing because I was there at the scene of the crime, and that's how I knew this lady died. And I wanted her family to know where she was at.
Absolutely.
I went to the cops and I said, this is where she is, and this is who killed her, and I know this because I was there. And I was in fear for my life the whole time. He said, instead of digging two holes and putting you one in each hole, I'll just put you both in one hole. So, I did everything I thought I could to get out of there. And when I left, when I walked away from this young lady, she was still alive. And I was coming back for her. That was my ultimate goal because I knew she was still alive. And as soon as we walked away, she started screaming, help, help. And he ran back and killed her. I wasn't even over there when he killed her.
Wow.
And I knew she was dead because when he came back to me, I said, is she dead? And he said, yes, and if you say one more word, you're dead. So, of course, I didn't. And I was just thinking the whole time, how do I get out of here without dying? Somebody's already dead. How do I get out of here without dying? So I just kept my mouth shut and drove back to where we were staying. Then I went to my children's house and finally got rid of him and went to the cops. I mean, I did that. It took me 5 days, but I went to the cops. And if you're guilty of a crime like that, you just don't go to the cops and say, here, can you lock me up for the rest of my life without parole?
Here's the thing, too. You just said it took you 5 days. It took you 5 days of trying to survive and convince someone not to kill you because you saw them commit a crime. Would you agree?
Correct.
And on the 5th day, when you're finally free, and I know just from what we talked, you initially called the FBI. How'd that go?
Well, they laughed at me. They thought I was playing a rude joke, and I said, no, this is not a joke. But I thought we were in Oklahoma because that's where he was talking about going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know who to call. So I thought, well, if it's out of state, I better call the FBI because they're, everywhere. So that's what I did. And they laughed. And they said, where are you? And I said, I'm in Joplin. And they said, call the Joplin Police Department.
Okay. So from there, you call the police department and you tell them, we've got a lot of people viewing, and I'm so grateful and thankful that you guys want to tune in. And it's not about what a podcast or It's about Terressa Cummings. It's about Terressa Cummings, another innocent woman, been in prison over 20 years. Which is, listen, I thought of it this way when I went to prison. Somebody had time to give birth to a baby and that baby be in high school. Somebody somebody gave birth to a baby when she went to prison and that baby's graduated from college. That's how long people have been locked up and warehoused. So she tried to call the FBI. They're like, we don't really care. We think you're lying. You contact the police department. They feel the same way, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
They said, really, are you joking? I said, no, really, I'm not. And they said, well, can you come here? And I said, yes. So I made 3 attempts to make sure this lady is found before they would actually believe me.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this. We said this in the first show. Did you think that when you went to the police station to try and help, that you would have never left again? You would have never seen freedom again?
Absolutely not. I just knew that I was doing a service because I was there and I knew she died and somebody else needed to know. Yeah. That was not cool killing somebody, So
you were really let down. Do you feel like you had a good attorney that tried?
No, not at all. When you get a court-appointed attorney, they don't care. They're getting paid regardless. When they get you sentenced, they don't care.
Has anyone ever reached out to you to try and spotlight your case or bring light on the fact that that the man that actually committed the crime is already free?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, so this all happened is it Bolivar?
Yep, Bolivar. Well, it's Greenfield, Dade County.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Liana's Live. It says the system failed her, and you're damn straight. You know what I'm saying? Somebody just came on here and said the system failed you. The system is really a setup for failure. And I'm going to tell you, they do us women worse than they do the men. And I'll tell you why. Because there's more men that I hate to say it, that commit crimes. Only probably because of the ratios and a lot of times moms and things like that, or just, circumstances. There's just more of a population of men's prisoners. So therefore, when you get a woman and you can give her some big time like this, it's more advantageous for the judge to send her to a woman's prison to occupy that bed, because there's not as much money being made off of women until you get a Terressa Cummings. So since there's, 22 men's prisons, they can rotate faster and that guy can go home and, live his life. But Terressa's got to sit there because there's not as many beds to fill for women. And it's sad. And here's another thing, man, woman, or child, public pretenders, public defenders. Now, there are some out there that aren't jaded, that don't, let their caseload overwhelm them. But I feel like a lot of times that we're judged as, I was on drugs. I don't have any problem saying I was a drug addict. That didn't mean I wasn't a good person. That didn't mean I didn't have a good heart. That didn't mean that, I wanted to live that life. I had just fallen into drugs. And I feel like when they see a woman and they see a drug addict and they're like, who cares? We're throwaway people. How'd you feel?
Expendable. That's what they think we are, expendable.
Right.
But, you touched on Sandy Hemming going home after 43 years.
Amen.
There are more Sandy Hemmings in this prison than you would imagine.
Man, let me tell you, I would have never thought it. And, here's another thing I talked about today on another podcast, that we watch Dateline, NBC, or 2020, and you don't think that could be you. You don't think that could be you. Let me tell you right now, you could be innocent in jail just as quick as anybody else. It just depends on how much money you got, whether or not.
Facility and may be monitored and recorded.
It just depends on how much money you've got.
Wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person, and bam, here you sit.
That's right. So did you show them where the body was?
Yes, I took them there.
Okay, and how long was it before they arrested the gentleman that actually committed the crime?
They arrested him that night. Well, the next morning, they put us in a hotel room because they were investigating the crime.
Wow.
And I told them where they could find Ron, probably, because I didn't know for sure.
Uh-huh.
And they found him, and after he was under arrest, and they told me to come back to the police department the next morning, and I went back there, and then I was under arrest.
Wow. Okay, so what did they arrest you for?
That I killed him, and he helped me. Come on now.
And you went in and just basically they thought you, I don't know why it would make any sense for you to commit this crime, go tell, and that doesn't make sense, but somehow. What was your defense attorney saying this whole time?
He was just saying that I didn't commit the crime, and that, that Ronnie Johnson, because we had all these letters that he wrote me when I was in jail saying, make the state make their case. Don't say nothing. Plead the fifth. And then he said all these things to me. Well, I already said things. I already went to the cops. I already told them that you were the killer. So I'm not going to just sit by and be silent while I'm in jail under a first-degree murder charge, because I didn't commit the murder. You did.
And he is already home.
Huh?
He is already home.
Yeah, he's already home now. He's out. He got 15 years for kidnapping and 20 years for second-degree felony murder. Now, felony murder is if, like, me and you go rob a bank and I'm sitting in the car and you go in with the gun, I should naturally assume that there's some kind of pretense that someone could die because you have a gun. And so he got a kidnapping charge because she was forcibly moved from this place to where she was killed at.
Right.
Okay, if we both committed the same crime, first-degree murder is full deliberation, no matter how brief. Second-degree murder is the scenario I just described to you. If he kidnaps someone and we are
that's intention.
The same person.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It just seems like they went with, oh, she's a woman, and let's just throw her away. And we got another comment, Ronnie Johnson, you may have gotten away with it this lifetime, but you won't in the next one. That's right. God, listen, I used to tell people all the time, hey, Matthew 7:1, we need a t-shirt, Matthew 7:1, judge not lest ye be judged, okay? And when they throw away the key on people, first of all, you are an innocent woman. You did not commit this crime. You have been there over 20 years. That's ridiculous. There are people that have been there. Yeah, there's people that have been there 30 years. Why aren't we taking a second look at these cases? Why aren't we looking at the fact that there are people and an accessory that should have been changed a long time ago? Because I don't know what the next man is going to do. And like the Bible says, am I my brother's keeper? I don't know. I don't know what the next person's going to do. So in one moment, your life was changed forever. And you have kids, correct?
Correct. I have 2 boys and 1 daughter. My daughter's in New York, and my boys, I have 1 boy in the UK, and the other one's in Bonterre.
Yeah. So you had small children when this happened, right? How old was your oldest?
My oldest one was 12.
And how old was your youngest?
38.
How old was your youngest?
11. Yeah, they're only 15 months apart, so.
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you this right now. You've been done an injustice. So for the people that are watching, we have an attorney general here in Missouri who is not letting innocent people out. And no one's talking about Terressa Cummings. I try and say on this show as often as I possibly can, you are the constituent, the person that can pick up the phone and call a legislator, because it's easier than you would think it is. The people do answer. People do listen, and they want your vote. And right now, there's a lot going on with the House and the Senate in the state of Missouri. There's a lot of open seats. There's a lot of people that want to come back, or they want a chance. What can we do to help? I see you live. What you can do is call Andrew Bailey. Is that our attorney general? And that's who's not letting people out. You can call our current sitting governor, Governor Parsons, and ask him. And you know what? Britt Reed is Andy Reid's son, and I already went on him enough. And I'm not about dragging people's name through the mud, but if anybody's name needs dragged through the mud, it is Britt Reed, because you are a recidivist, but he commuted a 3-year sentence for Andy Reid's son. Now check this out. I love the Chiefs. Okay, I'm a big Chiefs fan, and Andy,
Yeah.
you cannot help what your kids do. Okay, I can't control what my kids do. However, this is how you can help. You can call Governor Parsons and say, you were able to get out Britt Reed. Can you please help Terressa Cummings? Can you please help Brenda Williams? Can you please help Rosemary Jackson? Can you please help Paige Spears? Can you please help all of these innocent people or people that have just been warehoused and have been there too long? Can we start taking a second look at some cases? And there's also something you just mentioned. You were 60 years old and you've been there 25 years. Why don't we have a geriatric law like some states? Where even, listen, you should be one of the first round draft picks because you've been maintaining in there with a slew of health issues. Would you agree?
Exactly, yeah. And I've only had like 8 violations in 25 years. And I have had most of those dismissed. So,
okay.
I'm a model inmate. I have good exemplary behavior.
You are.
Most people that are killers don't just come to prison and behave themselves all of a sudden. So that should tell you something too.
Well, I will say you have exemplary behavior, and I don't view myself as a killer, but if you got 8 violations in 25 years, I had 31 and 14 and a half. I was angry. I wasn't always a good person, I wasn't ready for that to be my life. So, but as a determining factor in the fact that this woman who's been I knew I had a chance. I had a 17-year sentence and I got paroled after 14 and a half, but I still had 31 violations. You sit on a life sentence where they don't have a date for you yet, but they will. And you only have 8 violations. You've tried your hardest to stay out of trouble is what it seems.
Absolutely.
Good.
Most of us are sitting in here like this. We're still productive citizens.
Oh, yeah.
We're just sitting in here being warehouse,
Yep, because you work like a dog. Yeah.
Brenda Williams is my roommate, and, both of us, she has 2 jobs, and I have about 3. I do anything I'm asked to do. I get up every day and go to work and just keep it moving,
That's right. That's right.
Somebody can bring me home.
That's right. And guess what? It's coming. Terressa, I've never had a chance to tell her as much as I really wanted to. When it was time for me to go home, I had about 3 months left, and I had this big grand plan to go to Kansas City because that's where my family was. And Mrs. Staten, who talks just like I'm going to talk here in a minute, said, Tosin, we all know you're going to be successful. Go to Columbia and start this program. And I remember Terressa because she does everything to help others. We were always in this ice line trying to get ice in 1,000,000-degree weather, and the officers clearly, it's power controlled. They don't want us to have any ice. And I came in and I was crying so hard. And you and almost everybody on that wing said, Sarita, what's wrong? And I said, Miss Staten just told me about this program they want to open. They need somebody to open it. They want it to be me in Columbia, but I was going to go to Kansas City. Do you remember what you told me?
So you go to Columbia.
Yeah. Her and my whole prison family. And remember, there was this old biker lady, and I never really talked to her. Remember, she lived on a lower tier, and she came up, and she was real skinny and haggard, and she said, that sounds like that's meant for you, and you can always take a bus to Kansas City. And I will always remember that. Terressa, you and Jackie and a few other people just gathered around me and said, this is you. So for where I'm at right now is because of this woman that's on the phone. Where I'm at right now is because of this woman that's on the phone.
You're a wonderful person. We appreciate you so much, Sharia, for getting out there and doing the right thing. And you're my Hail Mary because you're always there for me. You always answer the phone when I call. If you don't, I just call you right back.
Yes, please do.
This podcast is amazing. We get to get on here. We get to tell our story, and hopefully somebody out there, if you can just somebody hear us, please.
Amen.
There's so many more Sandy Hemmies in this prison. We're sitting here. We need someone to take a second look at our case.
Amen.
A third look, even.
Yes. Second, third, fourth, fifth.
All the records.
That's right. And here's another thing, too. A lot of times they don't even care to keep all of our documentation. So her name is Terressa Cummings. Terressa Cummings is more than just a phone call. Terressa is a person. Terressa is somebody, let me tell you, that made a big impact on my life. And she's always thanking me. I tell her, don't thank me, thank God. It is a blessing in my life to be able to do these things. And I'm glad I paid attention to my prison family. I didn't even have a chance to call my own family, but they wanted me to go too. And it's moments like that you can't forget. you can't forget, it says who is above Parsons? Parsons is our governor. So hopefully, and here's what I'm saying, we got a mean Republican who can come in and maybe start some stuff, Mike Kehoe. So here's the thing, it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, it's about relationships, and it's about getting things done. And this woman has been in prison too long. So when I say my prayers at night, I pray that he used me as a vessel to help the, listen, I spent a long time in prison, but not as long as you. And I feel like this, I can't.
Mike Parsons was the sheriff in the county I was in, Polk County in Bolivar, Missouri, when I was in jail in 2001. And he even told me, he said, Miss Cummings, I don't think you're good for this. He came here and he recognized me. So if you recognize me, Mike Parsons, please let me out of prison.
That's right.
Please recognize the fact that I am not guilty. Look at my clemency again. Do something.
Yes. Mike Parsons. Here's what I'm saying. Right now in the state of Missouri, there's no one above Mike Parsons. So if you got a line and you can make a phone call, you can do something, you can send an email. People don't think, here's the thing, your voice is bigger than you think. It's bigger than you think. One phone call is bigger than you think, because no one is calling for people because they think it's hard, and it's not. It's not. And they're going to listen to you because they want that relationship. They want people to think, if it's true that they got a good heart, or even if it isn't, make these people stand up and be accountable for Terressa Cummings. So that's what I want the audience to do. It really does. Her story speaks for itself. This woman went 3 times and tried to say, hey, I know of a murder that I need help. I know of a murder. I need help. So classic scenario, battered woman. Trust me, I know all about that. And the man, now he somehow gets a 15-year sentence, and you were afraid for your life. Terressa, yeah. I just love you. And like I say every time, keep your head up, keep God first. But, listen, oh my gosh, spread it around. Someone said they made 10 clips of this, and with my permission, don't you worry about it. Get this word out. She's going to spread it on TikTok and LinkedIn. I'm going to make some clips of it. Here's the thing. Spread it around. Let's get Teressa's name out there. Terressa Cummings, Brenda Williams, Rosemary Jackson, Sandra Merritt, Danita Pendleton. Listen, I'm trying to get Danita Pendleton on this show. We call her Dan because let me tell you this. I've heard ever since I came to prison, she was not good for this case. So let me tell you, only because my ears were to the street and I was currently in the situation where I was able to meet these people and know that, hey, this ain't right. This ain't right. So Terressa, we've been yapping on here for about 32 minutes. You know what? There's been tons of people who got on here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much. Please pick up the phone call. Call Jefferson City, Missouri. Talk to Mike Parsons. Talk to your local congressman. Talk to him. Tell him, hey, there's a guy, Tony Labasca, who is actually doing some things to help us. He's a Republican. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat, if you're a Republican, just listen. Terressa, tell us something to let us go. Give us your name, give us your number. You're not just a number, and tell us, you know, how to contact you or how to get a hold of someone who can help. Tell us about your website too.
Okay, my website is freeterressacummings.org, and that's TERRESSA. And my DOC number is 138915, and I'm here at 3151 Litton Road, Chillicothe, Missouri. Housing unit AC 144A is where I live at.
Man, let me tell you, I lived on all those wings, so I know exactly where you're at. Well, I just want to thank you all for tuning in. My name's Terressa Toast, and the show is Terressa Talks, but I was a number, and my number was 1209553. And let me tell you this, God opened my eyes, and I want him to open everybody else's eyes. Thank you so much for Terressa for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget about them. Don't forget about my friends, okay? There's good people. Don't you worry about it. Don't thank me, thank God.